We are back on Morning Line, our final segment this morning with elder law attorney Tim Takis. Always good to have him on because you know what? He's just a good guy.
Thanks.
He's a nice guy. He is. Let's get some more calls that came through. And we had Brian waiting through the break. Brian, how are you?
Hey, pretty good. Hey, listen, with all the big changes in Nashville and the elderly people, they're trying to give them a break on their property taxes and stuff. But some big city people, especially up north, they like living in the city their whole life. But like the retirement communities tend to mostly be in the country, and the ones that are in the city tend to be run by HUD or they have a lot of government assistance. Mm-hmm. And some people, they want to be in the city as they get older, but they see all the changes going on around them. How can they be like I bolted out to the country.
Right.
So I've started to prepare for that, but I know the Nashville Council on Aging is on White Bridge Road. They can do a lot of these questions, but what about the future of, like, you know, older people in the city?
Brian, that's a great question.
You know?
Okay. Go
you
for
know,
it.
I don't very seldom will I say something. That's
I know,
a great,
it is.
because I don't know that
question.
because I've been thinking about that a lot. Mm-hmm. Because you look around, you know, right now in Hendersonville, we're experiencing a senior housing boom. Mm-hmm.
What do you mean, like
meaning assisted livings are coming in, you know,
Del Webbs, things like that. I don't know if you're getting Del Webb.
What Brian is saying is all of that stuff. He calls it in the country, but it's really like Brentwood, you know, Hendersonville, you know, Mount Juliet, you know, all around in the area. But if you want to live in the city, you don't. There are no assisted livings in the middle of in Nashville.
Yeah, I don't. Not in the downtown, it doesn't seem
You know,
like,
and I think that's what Brian is saying is, okay, I've been living in the city for all my life, you know, and I like urban living, but where do I go? Because, you know, there isn't a, you know, where we're sitting here, there's probably not an assisted living from, you know, within a 5-mile radius. Yeah.
Right. So what's your, well,
you know, and so what are your options? And the answer is that I don't know what the answer is, because you know, we're talking, you know, there's you know, that there is housing, you know, they're building high rises, you know, in Nashville for housing,
well, I can tell you what,
residential housing, but there aren't assisted livings.
No, the only option is you're a millionaire. You can afford one of those new billion-dollar condos that are going up right now, and thus you're able to live downtown because you can afford to have in-home health care come to you.
That's essentially what it is.
Come to you. So really, the bottom line is you can't unless you have deep pockets. It's just, now meanwhile too, I thought he was going to this, you know, we just have the new property tax assessments and all this, and many of these seniors do get breaks, but some of those homes that they bought years ago in Green Hills now are a fortune. They're paid off with their property tax.
Absolutely.
What about, do you see cases where they come in and say, look, we're worried my mom, who's still pretty good and healthy and loves her home, is going to be forced out because she can't pay the property tax?
Haven't seen that yet, fortunately.
All right, because I've heard there have been cases like that.
I believe
where it's just getting so expensive, and they don't want to move. They could sell the home for a fortune, but they've lived there all their lives.
See, and that's been a big problem up in the Northeast and in California, because you're talking about property taxes that are out the roof. You know, $20,000 a year, you know, for a house that they bought, you know, in
probably for $20,000 40 years ago.
Exactly, and now those houses are worth $800 or $900 or $1 million, and the property taxes are more than a mortgage payment. Yep. You know, and then some. So
that's right.
That's tough. So that's tough. And of course, that's how reverse mortgage industry started.
Oh, okay. Real quick, let them know what that is.
Okay, what it means is you're borrowing against your house, but you don't have to pay it back until you either move out or you pass away. Yeah.
So for some people, and you again on that say, that is a good thing in certain situations. You don't advocate it across the board. It's not for everyone.
Right, and like I was saying, it's much more prevalent in places like, you know, where people can't afford even the property taxes and the utilities. Their Social Security isn't going to cover it. Right. You know, the average person, maybe, you know, this elderly person's getting $1,500 a month in Social Security, you know, living by themselves in an $800,000 house that they've lived there for 40 years. Yeah. Okay, well, that $1,500 doesn't go very far. No. Now, it may go a lot farther in Middle Tennessee, you know, or in Jamestown, Tennessee, or someplace, but it's still $1,500. You don't get more money, you know, from Social Security because you're living in, you know, Northeast.
No, of course not.
You know, so, but they have houses. So how are you going to pay for that? You know, not out of your Social Security.
Reverse mortgage. All right,
reverse mortgage.
Something to think about. Something you can ask Tim about as well. If you know a lawyer sets that up for you. Let's go to Shirley. Hi, Shirley.
Good morning.
Good morning to you, ma'am. How can we help you?
Oh, I was just listening to your show, and I wanted to ask a question. Like, can you have someone to just be a check writer for you? Like,
yeah. Yes, I mean, what Shirley's wanting to know is that, you know, because I got one of them. One of them's called a wife. Yeah. The other one's called my office manager.
Your wife and office manager, okay. So Shirley, you want someone who can maybe write checks for you off your account to pay for things?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, and that's basically it's
in case I'm not able.
Yeah, and that's basically personal financial management.
Okay.
You know, where you have people that will do that kind of service.
Is that something you have to set up a power of attorney for?
No,
or no,
typically not. What you do is that somebody like interviews Shirley, and says, okay, tell me what you want. And so Shirley says, I want to do this, I got these bills and whatever, you know, and the person will help them do that. And now they will actually bring Shirley the checkbook and say, okay, you know, you're going to sign every check.
You're right.
Because that person does not have authority to do that.
So she has to sign the checks, but she can handle all of that and fill it out and all that.
And so that they can basically get together and do that, you know, and start that out. Now, that's an interesting service because, I don't know, it can be hard to find. You know, I would say if somebody, you know, I hate to say, you know, tell Shirley to call her accountant because she probably doesn't have one.
Right. Well, the truth is, too, Shirley is more old school, I think, and frankly, I am to some degree, but who writes checks anymore?
Yeah.
Okay, I mean, people do.
Yeah,
I mean, and I'll be behind. But even at the Kroger, for me now, it's just a debit card.
But remember,
these days you pay online.
But remember, it's not just writing checks. It's personal financial management.
Yeah, right.
It's making, okay, you know, she's got, you know, it's money going out, money coming in, and making sure that that's being done correctly.
Okay. So, all right. So
even the online stuff and even other things like that.
Where would Shirley start to maybe try to
I'm
find someone
thinking
like that? Maybe
probably called the Greater Nashville Regional Council, GNRC.
Okay.
You know, basically what they do is they're kind of like a clearinghouse for senior services.
Okay. Would AARP be able to help? Maybe.
Maybe.
Yeah. Okay. Because I think a lot of people might need some help, like what Shirley just asked for us. Listen, we got one more question, and Shirley, thank you for that. I hope you get someone to help you, but a financial planner would help. Let's go to Pam. Hi, Pam. Are you there? Hey, Pam, how can we help you?
I have a question about elder care.
Okay.
Right.
Okay, a woman has children, and she gives the one that is not very well taken care of. He's not taking good care of her. And she knew to start with that they were not clean, that they were nasty. What can they do to take care of her? What can the rest of the family do?
Oh, so the rest of the family sees that the one relative is doing a lousy job?
Yes.
Yeah.
And is okay. Well,
that's like that's partly a legal problem and partly a family problem.
Yeah.
I mean, the legal problem in the long run could be they wind up in court.
Yeah.
You know, and a conservator is named for, you know, the elder. Or you know, they have the family meeting and they start having conversations about, okay, what are the other children? What are the other children doing?
You have had a meeting with him or her, and she, or is it he or she?
Yeah.
That's taking care of the mother. It's a he and his wife.
Yeah.
Okay, and he doesn't see things the way you do, so you guys disagree. He's doing what he's doing. You don't like it, and does it matter if it's a son or a cousin objecting, or if it's family? You can. So, all right.
Yeah.
How does that end up in court? We only have about 2 minutes.
Well, because basically they're having a argument about who makes decisions for mom, what care she's getting.
So do you have to file a lawsuit against him? Is that what you're doing?
It would be, well, basically it's you're filing a petition to ask that a conservator be appointed for mom.
We're getting into conservator.
Yeah.
Okay.
Right. You know, now that may spark something, because what that does is that those cases wind up getting steered into mediation.
Yes.
So does a judge really need to be involved? So
that's what you do. You need to file to seek to get a conservator.
That's one option.
And he would be notified, at which point maybe you guys sit down and you force his hand.
Yeah, and you know, like we talked about, I mean, we started the show talking about, in some ways that's like the last resort.
Yeah, right.
Because basically you're vesting the authority to act in the judge. You know, the judge makes decisions.
And he would decide who would be best to be the conservator, wouldn't he?
Absolutely.
And it may not be this guy that's doing it if he can see
but it may be.
Yeah, that's the other side. You go to that and he could hold up what
he could say is, look, I want to be conservator. I'm the one that's been, my wife and I are the one that's been taking care of mom. You know, and
they'll have to make a case and show him why they think she's doing a lousy job.
Right.
But that's some messy stuff.
It is messy.
But, you know, at the same time, if you see someone suffering because of something, you have no choice but to move on.
At some point, you have to intervene, yes. Yeah.
Tim, you're a busy man these days?
Yes, I am. I'm very grateful.
You are grateful, but you're not too busy to take on new clients
and
continue doing what you're doing.
That's the lifeblood of our business. Is people come in because they need, they need assistance.
They come in because they trust you.
They need help taking care of mom, and that's what we do for a living.
They trust you, my friend.
I have the best job in the world.
Yes, satisfying. We'll see you soon.
All right, thank you.
We'll take a break. Come back with contact information for him after this. Thanks.